weeks. And I actually saw him like last month on my birthday. So I'm okay with seeing him. But I do miss my mom and my little sister.
So in Pennsylvania, what's the rule? So you cannot go to Florida, or if you do, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks?
Yes, if you go to Florida, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they will check up on you.
Yeah, they call you every day. So yeah, no, I know it's the same for us too. So okay, we are live on Facebook. So tell everybody who you are, you beautiful girl. I'm so happy to be connected with you, and I've just been so thrilled to keep in touch with you and hear and see all the amazing things that you're doing. And it's inspiring because you're young. You just graduated in May.
Yes, yes. So, hello, Facebook. My name is Kaya Jones. I am the Philadelphia Fellow with Ignite. But besides that, I wear many hats in my community, I would say. I just recently graduated from Temple University in Philadelphia and still reside here for now. I'm really just figuring out my life in the midst of COVID-19. I recently moved into a new apartment and doing a lot of big girl things, I guess you could say. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about Ignite, talk about myself, and talk about voting. That's one of the main things I'm really excited.
Yes. We'll absolutely get to voting, but let's first talk about like what did you go to school for and what are you doing for, you have a job, right?
Yes, thankfully. So I went to school for journalism and political science, and I came into college thinking I wanted to be like Gabrielle Union on Being Mary Jane, like on the news, talking about that. And then as soon as I started to get into my classes, I was like, it was required we take a political science class. And after that class, I'm just like, I need to be doing more. Like, I don't want to talk about people who are doing it. I want people to talk about me. I want people to interview me about it. So that's when I decided to not switch my major. I still kept journalism, but double majored in political science, and then got really active in my student government. And eventually, my senior year, I ran as the vice president of my student government. And we ran with an all-female campaign and won as the first all-female ticket to like run student government.
Amazing.
So it was pretty cool.
Amazing. Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
I ran for freshman class president at my high school and I won, but that was my first and last attempt at running for office.
Yeah, I definitely feel that after running and being in the role for the whole year, I was like, I think I like to be more behind the scenes, like pulling the strings of whatever politician. So I'm brainstorming and like doing some work about a business plan for some like political consulting.
Okay, amazing. That's awesome. I love to hear that you know exactly what you want, which is huge.
Sometimes,
No,
yeah.
Figuring it out. And that obviously can change, you can do a total 180, but you are ambitious, which is awesome, and you're doing what it is you want to be doing, which is a lot more than a lot of people. So kudos to you. So tell us how you got involved. What is Ignite? I'm trying to remember how I learned from. Now I can't remember the gal's name who came to Saratoga and spoke to us on Skidmore's campus.
Was it Tiara?
It was Tiara. Yep. She was a firecracker, that one. I was like on the edge of my seat listening to every word, and I reached out to her after and we connected, and this is like a year, maybe over a year ago, before we opened Palette. So she was incredible. That was my first introduction into Ignite, and every single person that I've met since has like measured up to her status, which is again like incredible and not always the case. So tell us what was your introduction into Ignite and their mission? What is it about their mission that you feel so committed to supporting?
Right. So I got involved with Ignite back in 2017. There was a chapter started at my university. One of my colleagues was like, "Hey, I'm starting this organization on campus. It's all about young women in politics. Would you like to come?" And I'm like, "Sure, that sounds right up my alley." Well, at the time, it really wasn't, but I just knew that I needed more of a community to talk about things that I cared about, like my friends were business majors and event planners and just doing a whole bunch of other things. And no, I was like the one in my friend group that's like, "Hey, are you registered to vote?" And I just needed a little bit more support. I'm like, I need other people that are asking me, "Am I registered to vote?" So I went to the first meeting, and the chief program officer, Sarah, was actually there, doing a special appearance or visiting Philly. And she let everyone know there was a scholarship opportunity to go to a national conference in Washington, D.C. So I applied, and a lot of girls end up getting it. And we had a all paid for vacation and also got to go to this amazing conference in DC. And there were so many cool speakers there. It was a 2-day conference. And then after that, I was sold. I started following some of the current fellows at that time on social media and pretty much stalking them. Whenever they would post things about Ignite, I would be like, "Hard eyes, hard eyes, hard eyes." And
Yeah.
"When are you going to bring the fellowship to Philadelphia?" So eventually last year, they did start the fellowship in Philadelphia, and I applied, and the rest is history. They're basically stuck with me now. I'm in my second year of the fellowship and just looking for more opportunities to continue to grow with Ignite because I really love their mission. We're all about uplifting and empowering young women to pursue political leadership positions, run for office. We give young women the tools and the resources that they need to be fully equipped to, go out and run a full campaign or do whatever they want to do. A lot of our women, they're not directly want to be the politician, but they just are very conscious of the times that we're in and a need for more women to be in these spaces and have a voice. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, and so and it's completely bipartisan too. So
Yes.
you're involved in different types of platforms, and I think it's great because look, we don't all see eye to eye. It's clear, especially in 2020, and I think it's important to be able to still have a respectful debate and conversation with each other, even if we're on opposing sides of an issue, because that's only how you get to the solution. And I feel like I'm starting to sound like a broken record because to me, I think that this is just nature to lean into the folks that are different than you and try to understand where they're coming from and obviously hope that it's reciprocated. It's to imagine America as just a one type of community population is asinine. I mean, we literally what the diversity is what makes us who we are, and it's what I pride myself in. Even in my own community, we have different types of people who are all joining together because the common goal that we have is that we want to move forward. We want progress, we want evolution and adaptations, and we want to do it with each other, and we want to be able to say that we did it with people who didn't agree with us. So I just think we have so much work to do, and there's all sorts of different strategies to go about the end result. We just all need to keep going, stay in our lane, all gas, no brakes, and just try to support one another as best as we can.
No, I love that you brought that up.
So tell me, what specifically you guys are doing as an initiative to get more people engaged. I mean, you are literally pretty much not on every campus across the country, but that's obviously the goal, is to focus on women at the college level who want to go on into leadership roles in politics or just in general or in campaigns. And but aside from that, what is Ignite doing right now to elicit this call to action for people to just get out there and vote? I mean, it's been like the wild west almost, trying to keep up with the different laws and mail-in voter ballots and all this kind of stuff. And like, I'm gonna just be honest with you, like I'm an old school, kind of person. Like I want to go to the voting booth and I want to cast my vote in the voting booth. Now I understand not everyone feels safe, not everyone feels like safety is a huge thing on multiple levels. I mean, we do have some communities who don't feel physically safe, not even speaking about COVID, but just they're afraid to go to the voter booth because they're afraid to get, told to go home or something, like, which is just crazy talk in 2020. But this is a real fear. And again, it's not a fear for me, but that doesn't discredit some people's real uncertainty about showing up to the voter booth. So tell us what Ignite National is doing, because you guys have a strategy and a game plan.
Yes, we are actually doing so much. So our initiative is called Ignite the Vote, and we're doing exactly that. We're spreading knowledge and information. Like you said, it's so complicated, especially during these times. Like, I don't know if I'm going to mail in my ballot or go to the polls. Now there's this new phrase called early voting. What does that mean? So like, we're trying to make it as plain and as simple as possible, because if people don't have the knowledge, then they don't have the power and they won't feel empowered to go vote. So that's the first thing that we think is really important. Another thing is making voting personal. So it can also be termed as like relational organizing, but since we're targeting young people, we're really trying to make it transparent on like what is going to hit them to be that one thing that's like, okay, I need to go vote. One thing that young people deal with, especially college women, is the national student debt. And just, I think the statistic is like people under 30, the debt for people under 30 is like 3.1 trillion right now. But like, we have the power to change that. We have the power to elect people that care about that issue and, don't want people to just be like starting their lives in all this debt. So that's one example that I always use. And then also Ignite is meeting people where they're at. And young people, we're on social media and we're on our phones. And we're not a tech company, never did anything like that, but we have this really cool texting tool that we can use. If you text, I can like pop it in somewhere, but if you text our Ignite to 33777, this Sophia the bot, she's really cute, like girl emoji, pops up and she tells you all about what you need to know for voting. She gives you your personalized voting plan. If you need to register, she sets you up with all the steps on registering. It's just really great. I'm like, are we Apple? Like, what are we doing?
Hey, I was just listening to this cool podcast with and they talked about Apple, and they talked about, it was with Bill and Melinda Gates, and it's like they're not any better than anybody else. They just do what they say they're going to do. They take the action, and they didn't stop. They kept going, and I think that's like a real, like, we have to really understand that there's no one keeping you from doing all the things that you like are dreaming up. You just have to get out there and do them, and align yourself with people who are going to help you kick the ball up the field. And so yeah, Ignite National certainly has the tools and the resources to continue that journey, keep going, and bring in more people along for the ride who are going to support their mission. And I don't know. I think it's a pretty new organization, right? Like, how many years?
This is our 10th year.
10th year, yeah. So, I mean,
we started off in California, and that was like, we were in California for a while and then branched out. Now we're in over 20 states.
It's so cool, and obviously something that I'm passionate about, because I think it's an easy thing to get behind, and it's voting is a civic responsibility to be here to do it, and people fought for it, people lost their lives for it, and I mean, we all have to do our part, and again, easy for me to say, because I don't have this fear of going to the voter polls. I don't have I don't really have a, what is the word, like, skepticism about the mail-in voter thing. but we still, that doesn't mean we can't address it, right? So like, what can we do? And I want to tell you too, we have a bot at Palette. We have a full-time concierge person, and her name's Kiki, and she messages you when, if you're here working and you're like running low on steam or something, you can text her and she'll bring you a coffee. And she's got pink skin and purple hair and a nose ring, and she's super fun.
Yes.
So we got to introduce Sophie.
Yeah, they can be friends.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, tell us is there anything else you want to add to or get the message out? Anything that I can do to support Ignite and you personally, you know how to get in touch with me, and anytime you want to chat, I'm here for you. And I want you to know that you have the support, and anything we can do, we want to do it.
Mm-hmm. No, I just want to thank you. You have really grown into my life. I think we met at or it was like Ignite tea time with women entrepreneurs or CEOs, something like that. And ever since then, I've just really enjoyed our conversation, our fellowship, and our sisterhood that we've kind of created, and just really able to talk about our lives just so like fluidly. And I really appreciate that, especially because I am alone in my apartment. Like I need some type of fun face-to-face interaction. So this has been really enjoyable. I'm so glad I could be on this Facebook. Ignite has many ways that you can be involved. You can look them up on ignitenational.com or follow us on social media. It's like Ignite National everywhere. You can become a Ignite the Vote ambassador. There's really like so many things. I could talk all day, but it's really important that we just get out to the polls or get to the mailbox. One of those two.
Yeah, and I also want to add that, like, you don't have to have any money in the bank to do this type of work and to support the Ignite National mission. You absolutely don't need to be anything. You just need to be you, and you just need to get out there and get involved and just contribute in just any little way that you can. We need everyone to get involved and engaged in this whole process. Your vote does count. It will be counted, and it will matter. And the only thing keeping you from it right now is you. And even the other piece that I also want to make sure people are aware of, if you have a fear of going to the polls, you know what I'm saying, find organizations like Ignite National that can support you getting there. Like we were talking about this earlier, there's so many of these grassroots organizations who have that same mission, just getting people to the polls. They want to bring you from point A to point B, vote, and bring you home. And so there are all sorts of ways. There's no excuse really at this point. And don't give into the fear. Don't be discouraged to do what it is your civil right and responsibility to do. And because it will count and it will matter. And come November 4th, we'll have to, it's not going to end there, so it's like we have to all just keep staying engaged. Yeah. And so like there's a new goal at that point, and we keep moving forward by any way we can. And I just don't know how. I don't have that mentality where it's like I don't feel like I don't have an impact, and so I start to wonder like what you might feel if you feel like your vote doesn't count, or that you're not going to be able to get there. It's not okay, and it's something that if you have an issue, like here I am saying, if you have a problem or if you have a concern or you're not feeling safe getting to the polls, or you can't, like, give me a freaking call and we will work it out. I'll be there right with you to support you getting there, because it's just so important. And it doesn't matter how much you rant and rave and post on Facebook and Instagram, like it matters there, but not nearly as much as it matters in the actual booth. So you have to get your ass out your house and into the polls, and in the streets or the mailbox. So
you're speaking my language. And in I think it was like New Hampshire, this woman ran for state senator, and she won by 43 votes. Like, if that doesn't tell you your vote matters, that's like crazy. Like, only 43. That's you and your family and your friends.
Yeah, like locally, on a local level too, we had this like whole charter reform situation. I think it was like a couple of years ago, and it was 10 votes that what kept the entire our entire form of government from changing on a local level and city level. It's like 10 votes, and either side you're on, you should be ashamed at that, because it's like you cannot leave it up to 10 individuals to change the course of history. It's got to be massive amounts of people. It needs to be a landslide either way. Like either way, it has to be a landslide. And I think that we see this time and time again. It's so frustrating. It really is so frustrating, because it's like, why do we allow that to happen? Again, this is like completely bipartisan. If you feel so strongly about something on social media, get out and get people to vote.
Yeah, because I hate the aftermath of like everyone just complaining, and then you're like, but were you at the polls? Like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people that I know, they're just like, you don't have the right to talk. If you didn't go vote, then, and if you're not registered to vote, then you don't have an opinion. And like, honestly, it's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember like way back in the day. This is I don't even know. I say way back in the day, but it was like a lot of celebrities came out, and it was like the Rock the Vote campaign, and everyone's voting. And I remember Paris Hilton having like her head on the chopping block because she was all about vote, 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 and then her ass didn't get into the voter booth to vote. And it's like, oh my God, you have to. You're gonna say, if you're going to say you're going to do something, do it, right? And or have like a really good reason why you couldn't get there. And then the other thing is like prepare to have I mean, even when I was 18, I was 18 in college, so I didn't turn 18 until after I started my freshman year of college. And I even remember like my senior year civics teacher, Mr. Ellerbush. I remember there was like simple things he told us, and of course they didn't apply to me because I couldn't even vote yet, but it was one of those things like, you have to get to polls, you have to expect to wait in line. So, time management, all that stuff, and make sure you read up on the candidates, and don't just assume, don't just vote what your parents voted, don't just vote what your friends are voting. Like, do the work. It is literally your responsibility to educate yourself, and there's no excuse why you shouldn't know what people stand for at this point, because we are living in 2020. We have the World Wide Web. We have so much information at our fingertips. So do the work,
Yeah, and be the example you would like to see. Like, I know, like, this is just an historic time, and so for so many reasons. So like, how do you want to tell your kids you showed up during this time? I think is a really important question to just think about. I want to be like, I did this and that and this and that.
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, I have 3 little girls, 6, 2, and 1, and they're gonna grow up to be like adults. And even now, like my 6-year-old, we live downtown. We walk past protesters. She walks to school. It's like she sees all that is happening, and her little brain is not so inexperienced to not comprehend like the disruption. And it's totally, I talk to her about all of it, and just tell her the facts, like this is what's going on. And people feel very strongly, and they're rightfully so, standing on the side of the road. They're talking about what they believe in, and there can be an opposing side that feels totally opposite. And it's just like, it's all a learning process, and it's all life experience. And I sleep just fine at night, being able to know that I'm doing what I would like for them to do in the future, and just be kind and respectful and empathetic. Like, think, like, really put yourself in the shoes of the other, of the opposer, right? And think about why they feel so strongly about what they do, and then reflect that. Like, I feel strongly about a lot of things, and I want to hear and this is the other piece too. If I was not hearing my opinions in the media, and if I wasn't hearing my thoughts like reflected, I would be called to speak out about it, and so rightfully so. I mean, obviously I definitely don't condone the violence. I do not think that breaking windows and rioting is not the answer on all sides of it. It's like, that's actually not what solves anything. But voting does. And so I think it's like, it's obviously just something that I just don't understand why somebody wouldn't show up to vote, but then it's like, you got to go there and you got to think, well, why would somebody not show up? It's because they don't feel seen and valued and heard. And so we all have like some work to do, and I'm happy to do it and aligned with Ignite. And you personally, I just think it's incredible at such a young age. You're so involved and engaged. Like, this is the shit we want to see. This is the kind of stuff we want to support, right? So and I think, there are also people who want to sit on the sidelines and take it all in, which is totally fine too. Again, there's so many different avenues in which you can support getting out there and showing pride and what the people before us fought for. And then also be prepared, like what the future holds when the decisions are made by the people who did show up. We'll have to deal with that also. So
right. Yeah, because it's going to be a reflection of what Americans wanted. So like, it's up to you
yeah, I mean, I remember back, in the last presidential, everyone was very shocked, and it's like, let's not be shocked. Let's really be sure of what is going to happen. Let's plan and let's strategize and let's get ahead of it, and I think that we absolutely, we need to ignite, we need to initiate, and we need to mobilize, and it's like all lanes. Like, I literally want everyone to be engaged, and I think all parties have a say, and they have the mic, they have the power right now to change the course of history. And for that piece, it's like, it's kind of an exciting time to be involved in it. When you're hearing, like, when you're listening about stories of the past and history, and you're learning in school and stuff, it's like, it seems so distant, right? That somebody, wow, they really did that, or like, they, two brothers both went to war. We hear that story all the time, like, to a family broken, and civil unrest. And it's like, we have the opportunity right now to be part of that, and to change the story, and take over, not take over, but just, what I'm trying to say. Like, I use words and I'm like, okay, take over sounded really negative, but
no,
like,
I know what you're saying.
We just have a real opportunity to be part of it, and that's an exciting time to be engaged and be part of it. I mean, it's like, it's forced everyone to really get involved.
And even I think we being the example to come together and do this thing as a united front, like whether we vote this way or that way, like everyone voting as a united front, will be a good example for our politicians to, find ways to collaborate and talk about, because I believe that on both sides there are some great legislations out there and like great bills and opportunities that would benefit everyone, but we're just so fixated on the fact of disagreeing and being polarized. But if we can really lead by example and like show, we're all coming here for one purpose, that we want our voice to be heard, then they will hear it. Like, it's just sad when I think our like politicians get back that there was a 13% voting rate. It's like, I'm only representing the 13% of people that voted for me, when I really want to hope that I'm like going out and doing this for at least a bigger population than that. I know for my election, we had like 8%. And I'm just, even though it's like student government, I'm just like, 8% of students voted me in. I mean, that's great, but I would have loved it to be at least like 50%.
Well, you want to represent the majority, you really want to represent as many people as you possibly can. And for me, I would pride myself on representing a diverse group of people. I don't think I would be really like proud to be like, oh, I only represent this type of person, this person who is, just, it's just like, it's important to I don't know, it's a pride in yourself too. Like, don't you want to be like, I would want to tout myself with like, I know all the players, right? I know all the people involved. I've met all the people. I've met or a representative of all the people, and I was accessible, and people could get in touch with me, and I could like really talk to them. I think that that's something that we don't we don't get opportunity to really engage with our actual representatives as often as I would like. And it's kind of like, so what, you're a congressman, like it's not even like that exciting, really. It's like, I don't know, there's no
regular person
no
and
desire to run for office. Like, I do not think that that's something that I would ever. I do think that there's more. You can make more impact on the private sector. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. But again, I do go back to like there's a job out there for everybody.
Yeah, and yeah, for some people, like they are tired of hearing people scream at them like go vote, especially during like times of grieving and feeling like their vote never really mattered, or like it's just constantly being failed and failed over again. And like for those people, I'm always like, well, maybe you're the change that you want to see. Like maybe you need to run and really make the impact that you think your community needs, or that your community needs. So I'm always pushing other people as well to be like, if you run, I'll support you. So
yeah. And so does Ignite do that piece too, like where you actually support the candidate and their campaign and help them like develop their platform and stuff?
So right now we just piloted our first like 10-week training. It's called Run Now. And there's 3 cohorts, one on a national level, one specifically in Georgia and Ohio. I don't know why those were the targeted areas, but it's really cool. I work in the national cohort, and there's about like 20 young women, and each week it's a new topic. I think we're on week 4 right now, and we're going to be talking about financing your campaign. And although since Ignite is a nonprofit, so we can't like endorse anyone or do anything like that, but we're giving them the information they need to know on like what are the best tactics for when it comes to fundraising. Around the first week, it was just talking about what seat do you want, and really envisioning yourself in that seat and thinking about who would you be running against, when would you be running, and it makes it so much more real when you're like talking about these things in front of people. And now it's like, oh, we're holding you accountable to that. And we want to see you do that. So I'm really excited about this 10-week training that Ignite is doing called Run Now. And we're going to do it again.
It's going to be cool for you to see one of those 20 people run for
I know. Yeah.
I put her there.
Yeah. That's really what I'll feel like.
Oh, that's so much fun and exciting. And I love Ignite, and I love your enthusiasm and your inspiration. I freaking love you. So keep at it. Keep in touch with me. I always say that, like, make sure you keep me posted on what you're all doing.
I know you're such a busy lady, so I told you, you're on my list. Like, you'll hear from me.
I think that busyness is not an excuse to not give people time, and look, just to be frank with you, I get this shit all the time too. Like, oh, well, so and so's too busy, or did it? What? That's bullshit. Like, we're not too busy. Like, what you do today is important, and what you don't get to today, you do tomorrow. And it's just like, I don't know. I think my time is the most valuable thing that I can sustain or keep or give. I mean, it's just like, it is my most valued possession. And I have 3 kids. I have a husband. I have 2 businesses. We just opened a second location. Like, yeah, I'm busy, but like, I would give you my time of day anytime, So you have my number, you have my email, you call me anytime, even if you want to text me. Like, you brighten my day, and you have to like know that is like also so authentic, like when I just like, think about this, like think about somebody who you met a year ago or whatever, and they keep up with you, they text you, hey, how are you, how's it going? It lights you up. That's the shit that I feel when you text me or when you contact me, or when anybody has good news to share, even like I'm having a bad day. Like, those are like the human connections that we for some reason we hold in and we don't share with people. And it's like, no, that's the very thing that brings us, that's the very thing that we first and foremost have in common, so just don't ever, I always say, reach out to people, say hello when you're thinking. And this is something that I do all the time, like when I'm thinking of somebody, even if it's Lizzo, okay, like sometimes Lizzo pops into my head. I was literally having a dance party last night with my daughter Posey. She's like, can you I'm trying to think of the song that she like that she wanted to play, and I was like, I'm gonna DM Lizzo right now and let her know that this 6-year-old little girl is inspired by these words. I'm so like not with it with the music, but it was like feeling good, like I should,
Oh, yeah. I know what song you're talking about. Feeling good.
Yeah. And I was like, I think this artist needs to know.
Yeah.
that and look, I don't think Lizzo probably doesn't read her own messages. She probably has an intern or a really good person that's like reading everything and fielding all these things. So even if it's a 24-year-old intern that reads this, like it's like making them smile and it's giving them joy in that one moment. And who am I to keep that from Lizzo?
Right. I love that. I really love that.
Yeah. So I always say reach out. The follow through is in the follow up, right? So stay on my mind, girl. Text me, email me, call me. And if I don't respond right away, it's like I always respond, like eventually.
Yeah, no, and I want to eventually, when COVID is over, I want to visit like Sarasota. Never been to.
So if you go to Sarasota, you're gonna be in Florida. And then you're gonna have to quarantine when you come back. So don't go there. Come to Saratoga.
Thank you.
You can come to Saratoga. You just gotta jump on a train or rent a car and come up here and see us. Saratoga's beautiful during the fall and it's open for business. And it's actually really amazing to see how compliant everyone is being when it comes to mask wearing. The kids are in school, like cross my fingers they stay there. And it's really cool to like walk around town. We live right downtown and see people who give a shit about their neighbors and they're doing all the things that they need to do to keep everyone safe. And it's compliance, not complacency, which I think those are the two things that we get mixed up for whatever reason. And it's just like consideration for our general population to wear a mask. It's not like, harboring me from speaking up or speaking period or doing anything that I do on a regular basis. And the more that we get to it, the shorter that period of time that we'll have to do it is. So I can't wait for you to come visit.
Yes, I love that.
All right, girl. Have a good rest of your day. I hope you're doing something fun today. Besides, kickboxing, that's got to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Your face is on the bag and just like
get off all my aggression.
Yeah, get that aggression out there, and then put it to action in the voter booth.
Yes. I love that analogy.
Okay, well, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
In there and
bye, Facebook.
Bye.